Right now, we have an intriguing thing going on where Aaron Judge might not actually be the leader in the clubhouse for the AL MVP. Cal Raleigh of the Seattle Mariners, my second favorite team in baseball, is crushing it right now, having an amazing season. David, tell me about Cal Raleigh.
The big dumper. I love it. He is having an incredible season. Anytime a catcher is having a huge year for a team, they're going to get MVP talk. Right now, he has a 4.3 WAR. He has 32 home runs, leading Major League Baseball in home runs, and that's so incredible. Leading Major League Baseball in RBIs, I believe, as well at 69, if that's what it is currently. But having a great year, hitting 280 for the Seattle Mariners. But really what it is just having a catcher on any team going out there and doing what he's doing is incredible. And he seems to be getting better and better and better every single year. And that's a great part for the dumper.
We talk about.
I love it.
I know you love that name. So do I. And I know Carla loves that name. Hi, Carla. Yeah, it's actually crazy when you think about the fact that he got his extension in the offseason and he came out and he's just chilling and killing it. And he's doing it in that stadium. And we've talked a lot about the inability for players to do it in Seattle at that stadium. We've talked about Julio forever, whose numbers continue to go down. But Cal Raleigh, stadium or not, if it was Yellowstone, he'd be hitting him out right now.
Yes, he's hitting out of anywhere, like I said, leading Major League Baseball. And that's where the conversation gets really interesting. We're talking about Aaron Judge and everything he does every year. But he is putting up more home run numbers in a much more difficult ballpark to hit home runs at. Yeah, let's pull up that graphic. That's a great graphic.
Yeah, so we have the graphic, the versus graphic of the Cal Raleigh versus Aaron Judge. And you can see that Aaron Judge right now has a higher WAR. He's played more games, and that doesn't shock anybody. What shocks me, though, is the fact that Cal Raleigh has actually played 77 games as a catcher and not needing that extra rest, and he's caught up to Aaron Judge. He's only 2 games behind. That, to me, is crazy. Of course, this was going into yesterday's game, so this is going to be a little skewed. But 32 home runs to 28. He's beating him there. 69 RBIs to 62, beating him there. 9 stolen bases from a catcher. When does that ever happen? It's absolutely insane. But you look at the rest of the numbers, Aaron Judge is still ahead. Does the difference in position catapult Cal Raleigh over Aaron Judge, or is the fact that Aaron Judge's team is in first place and Cal Raleigh's not? Who's got the edge right now?
So Aaron Judge definitely has the edge, and where the edge really comes into play is batting average, OPS plus, where he has the edge. The impact that Aaron Judge is having across the league and historically, to me, you're also the MVP until somebody outplays you every single day. He's hitting almost 80 points higher. 80 points higher. And so when you're looking at like total bases and on base and every one of those kind of metrics, he's having more of an impact on offense. He just is. There's no way about it. The catcher makes it interesting. And being the catcher on your team absolutely adds a whole nother dynamic to it. But it's at 80 points. So I think it evens it out. And then when your team is in first place, and if you took Aaron Judge off of that team and took Cal Raleigh off the team, I think it affects the Mariners a little less than it does affect the Yankees. I don't think they're in first place. I still think the Mariners are. I just think it affects the Yankees more when Aaron Judge is in that, because we've seen it. We haven't seen when Cal Raleigh's not in that lineup. We've seen when Aaron Judge is not in that lineup. And it is a completely different Yankees team every single time he's not on that field. And then, like I said, until he is outpaced, he is the MVP.
See, I'm not so sure about that. I think there has a lot more to do with the position of the teams in the standings. If the Seattle Mariners were in first place, you could say there's no chance in hell that the Mariners would be there without Cal Raleigh. You could probably say the same thing for Aaron Judge, but I think you have that hangover effect when there's an MVP. Aaron Judge is always in the conversation. The people like seeing something different. The voters like voting for someone different. So if Cal Raleigh was in first place, I think he would be by far the clear choice for MVP. But right now, I can't make a case for Cal Raleigh, even though it's close. And because of the defensive disparity between the two, it's close. But I can't make a case for a guy whose team is in second place and he's trailing in all those stats from Aaron Judge. I just can't do it.
From a Vegas standpoint, Aaron Judge is a minus 952 and Cal Raleigh is a plus 480. So what I would love to have seen, though, is over the weeks of the season, how Cal Raleigh has been popping up this chart, right? And been moving up. And you never know, too. There might be an outsider in a Tariq Skubal that steps up. DeGrom, the way DeGrom has been pitching as of late, taking a no-hitter into the 8th inning, a perfect game into the 7th inning last night. And Jose Ramirez, you never want to take Jose Ramirez and discount him. I just don't know if anybody's going to be able to catch Judge if he keeps hitting the way he is. The thing is, he's been hitting in the 260s, 280s as of late. In his last 15 games, he has not been hitting the ball the same. That definitely might start affecting Judge if his average starts getting down to the 320s, which I think it'll end up being around 320 at the end of the year. And if Cal Raleigh stays in this position, if the Mariners make a little bit more run, it's going to make it very, very tight by the end of the year.
You know, the only one in the country who's happy about this AL MVP debate?
I don't think you are.
Dave Sims. He's the only guy.
He's loving this.
He probably loves Cal Raleigh because from everything that I've heard, Cal is a good dude. So, Dave loves everybody and he's great. And now he's in New York and he gets to see Aaron Judge on a daily basis. That guy can't lose.
Here you go. Let's say this. If Aaron Judge is at the end of the year hitting 320 and he's got 50 home runs, which he's going to have around 50 home runs.
Yeah, no.
Cal Raleigh's hitting 280 with around 50 home runs. Let's say their stats are pretty similar. Judge is going to have him on OPS plus a little bit. He's going to have him on slugging. There's going to be a little bit of a disparity there, a little bit. Does that make it a lot tighter for you?
Depends what's the standings of the teams.
Let's say they both make the playoffs.
Forget about the playoffs. I want to see one of them win the division.
Okay.
The division will mean something to me because you can be the wild card, because there's so many wild cards now. Making the playoffs isn't that over the top thing that it was, back in the day with MVP voting. Now that third place team can be a 500 team, and being a 500 team isn't all that difficult in baseball. So, but winning the division, especially in the AL West and in the AL East, is pretty important. So the division means a lot more to me. But I do think that if all things are equal, it's a Cal Raleigh win. Because of what I said before, I think the voters desperately want to highlight someone who's not in that New York area if they can.
It's going to make it really interesting. The Mariners are going to have to go on a run, and a lot of Cal Raleigh's MVP standing is going to be based off of Julio Rodriguez, which is the most interesting thing in the world, that almost none of Judge's standing in the MVP is based on any of his teammates. But Cal Raleigh's MVP standing will be based upon Julio Rodriguez doing better, and Jorge Polanco doing better, Rosarena doing better. If these guys start picking up their part, and if Cal Raleigh stays exactly where he's at, Cal Raleigh might win this MVP, where Judge's MVP status has nothing to do with his teammates, which is really interesting. It's almost Judge and then everybody else, and it's Cal Raleigh and the Mariners. Makes it a very interesting argument.
And I got to be honest, we discussed this a little bit yesterday over the phone. I am worried about Julio. You mentioned him and how much of an impact he's going to have on Cal Raleigh and the rest of that team. But I am worried about Julio. I'm going to give you some numbers here and take a listen to this. His batting average, first year in the league, 284, then to 275, 273, 252 now. Slugging from 509 to 408 has gone down every year. OPS from 853 to 721 has gone down every year. OPS plus from 147 to 110 has gone down every year. I am very worried about Julio. And I've got to be honest, if I am Seattle, because of how amazingly cheap his contract is and knowing that people will still be high on him, I would trade Julio right now and get the haul of a lifetime.
So Julio Rodriguez, home versus away just this season, right? Just 2025. 224 at home, 279 on the road. Slugging 353 at home, 461 on the road. OPS 645 to 800 on the road. This is telling me that Julio Rodriguez cannot hit in Seattle.
Yeah.
Cannot hit in Seattle. He did for 1 year, and then something changed. Something started getting addressed. He's hitting much better during night games. He's been hitting better on turf versus on grass, which means on the road, et cetera, et cetera. Again, the small sample size on that turf part, but that would be a very interesting selling point to other teams, saying he is so good on the road. You know what you're getting. Don't look at the home numbers, look at the road numbers, and you will get a different athlete than what we've seen, a better athlete, the Julio Rodriguez that you know and love. You will be getting him versus the one that is, playing for the Seattle Mariners.
I would go absolutely crazy, tears of joy, if the Mets could pry away Julio Rodriguez from the Seattle Mariners.
He's got 10 more RBIs on the road than he does at home.
Yeah, this is
basically 10 more RBIs, and it's only 16 to 25. So there's an athlete there wanting to break out, and it's not in Seattle. So I at some point it's either in your head or it's in Seattle. Maybe Cal Raleigh being a lefty is a big difference there, and lefties are see better. Again, that Seattle, that stadium, the center field wall is not straight. It's not straight with the batter. It's angled a little bit. There might be something different. I'll have to look to see if they've changed it since I was there, but it was never flat to the hitter. It was angled.
Yeah, it's still angled right now. So you, Mr. Mariner, Mr. former closer of Seattle Mariners, would you trade Julio?
No.
No? Okay.
No. I sit there and I make every change I can in my stadium because I'm seeing the athlete. We're not losing the athlete. The stadium is causing something different for him. I would go out there and I would put up tarps. During the moment the season is over with, on September whatever or October whatever, if they're not in the playoffs, I would go out there and I would have major different things and have pitchers throwing off of him. I would have high-speed cameras. I would be censoring everything, trying to pick up something that gives it more evenness to my hitters. I've got a great pitching staff, and I think they're really great because of that advantage. Mm-hmm. But we need to better our hitting. It's so bad at home and so good on the road that I think I can be a much better team than what I'm giving up if I make that advantage even.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but the problem is they've known this for a couple of years and Seattle hasn't done anything to change the stadium. So if you're not going to change the stadium and you have a player that can't hit there, I got to trade him. But if you decide that you're going to make those changes, you're going to change the stadium, then keep him. I would love to keep Julio for his whole career over there, especially with how cheap he is. But if he's going to flounder, you can get a lot back for him.
I think it's been screaming, and that big article came out right before the start of the season, and you're seeing such a disparity in statistics. Now people are putting such a highlight on it. We've known something's up with Seattle. I think now there's no excuse to start making some major changes.